Hello everyone, my name is Kayla. This week I am going to be showing you how you can make a wax seal, but without any wax or even without the seal if you don't happen to have that. So I am going to be using two different things in place of the wax. I'm going to be using a melted crayon and a hot glue gun. So if you've only got one or the other, don't worry because I will be showing both of them. And then I am going to be showing how it works with both a regular wax seal and with just something else to use in place of one. Okay, so first I'm going to be showing you how to do it with a crayon. You can see I've already used this crayon before with a couple of other wax seals. So all you have to do is make sure that you take off the paper on the outside because you do have to melt the crayon. And if you have the fire near the paper will catch on fire as well. So you just want to go ahead and take that off. And once you've got that, you can just go ahead and grab your lighter. And then you can melt the crayon and make the little pool on the bottom that you'll be stamping your seal with. So a good rule of thumb is that the pool should be either the same size or a little bit bigger than the seal that you're going to be using. This is the size of my regular seal, and then this is the bottom of what I'm going to be using in place of one. So you just want to go ahead and make it a little bit bigger than that, just so you can make sure that the seal comes out correctly. Okay, so first you can take your crayon, and then you want to take your lighter, and then like I said, you want to make a pool that's about as big as the seal that you're going to be using. And there you go. Then you're just going to want to go ahead and put your seal down on top of it. And then you just want to let it dry completely. Then you can just go ahead and peel it off slowly like that. Just like that. So another thing you can do, if you're worried about not getting it right on the first try, you can just go ahead and do it on a piece of printer paper like this, and then usually with these, especially with a crayon, you can very easily peel it off the paper because printer paper is so thin, and then you can just tape it to a letter if you'd prefer to do it that way. I've done that a couple times. Sometimes it's a lot easier than doing it directly onto the letter. And printer paper is very easy to just peel off. Really wax of all kinds, but crayon wax especially. So if you'd like to do that, you can do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you what I am using instead of a regular wax seal. So I am just going to be using at the bottom of an X-Acto knife. If you don't have one of those, you can use something else, but I would suggest using something that is metal, and preferably flat on the bottom, just like that. Because if it has texture, or it's like a bottle with like a little hump on the bottom, it can be a little bit difficult to get it to come off of the wax correctly, especially the hot glue when we use that later. So I would suggest using something flat and metal if you can find it. So for the other one, you just got to repeat the same process. Okay, and the X-Acto knife is a lot smaller than the wax seal, so I'm just going to go ahead and make a small one like that and just put it down just like the wax seal. And then you're just going to let it dry completely. Just like that. So obviously, depending on the size of the thing that you're using, you're going to need more or less of the crayon wax, and it's going to make more or less of an imprint. But just like with the first one we did, this one can slide off just as easily and can be taped to a letter instead of having to do it on the letter itself. Now, using a crayon is my favorite method of the two, but if for whatever reason you don't have a crayon or a lighter, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it with a hot glue gun. Okay, so I think my glue gun is properly warmed up now. So you just want to go ahead and, just like with a crayon, you want to make a little pool that's a little bit bigger than the size that you're using. Especially with the hot glue gun. So I think that right there is good enough. And then you just gotta go ahead and put it down just like you did with the crayon. And then with the hot glue gun, you want to let it dry, but you don't want to let it dry completely. It's a little bit more difficult to use hot glue, which is why I suggest using the crayon instead. But when you use hot glue correctly, it can be really pretty, especially if you put flowers down before you press them. But it can take a little bit of finessing to get it right on the first try. So once it's been drying for a couple seconds, you can go ahead and peel it off. Check the edges to see if they are dry. Just like that. So one thing to note with hot glue is that because it is hot and it is glue, it will warp the paper around it if the paper is not very thick. I think hot glue especially is better to cut out of the paper and tape it on, just like I was mentioning with the crayon one. But the hot glue one comes out looking a little bit more like traditional wax seals once it's finished. It's a little bit easier to get more of the glue out than compared to getting the crayon wax. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the knife. I don't need nearly as big of a pool as I did with the wax seal, so that's all I need. Just going to go ahead, put that down like I did the other one. And just like with the seal, you want to let it dry, but not completely. And now that it's dry, it just pops right off just like that. So these ones, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but these ones do not come off of printer paper as easily as the crayon ones did. So with these ones, you'd have to cut them out. If you have like a colored letter that you're trying to do it with, like if the envelope is pink or a tan or a beige or whatever, I'd suggest getting an extra and then doing the hot glue on the extra so you can cut it out and tape it onto your letter without the paper looking very different. But yeah, that's all it takes. With the hot glue ones, you could decorate it with, well, with both of them, honestly. You could use it with the crayons as well. You could put some flowers underneath and press the flowers down. You could make different designs, whatever you need to do. But that is it for this video. I hope you can find some use for this in your stationery if you don't have any wax or even a wax seal. Because you could use a crayon and some other piece of metal if you've got it. You don't have to have either. But that is all. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again this time next week. Bye-bye.